Durban, South Africa. And it's my belief that most of the science writing councils in this room will be able to attend the meeting in Durban, May 2020. My task this morning was only to welcome you in the meeting. Therefore, without taking much of your time, may I take this opportunity to say welcome again and karibu. Now, also being the chair of this morning session, now I welcome Dr. Morapo to the podium.
Morning, colleagues. Morning. Morning. Yo, it's Friday. It's Friday. We've been here. I probably won't be able to say this properly, Dr. Nungu. I don't know if you mind if I call you Amos.
Please.
Thank you. Asante. It's been terrific. It really has been. You have been an incredibly gracious host. You have helped us, even though many of us have been cloistered in the hotel. I've yet to see Dar es Salaam outside of the bus. And so for those of us that maybe are leaving tomorrow night, you can point us in the right direction. I'm just going to say a few things this morning. Firstly, I have learned an enormous amount. I really have learned an enormous amount. Aside from trying to improve my Swahili, Kiswahili, I was told that I'm not supposed to say karibu sana when I'm supposed to say asante. So yes, you are welcome, but yes, I thank you. I also have 3 incredibly gracious professors who have been teaching me. I've had Professor Tambora, I've had Professor Suke, and Professor Ouattara teaching me French. And then say, comment ça va? Ça va bien? Avez-vous bien dormi? Très bon? Did we sleep well? It is Friday. Let's find a creative way of livening the session this morning, because it is the last day. It is as important as the first day. The first couple of days we have been together as the SGC family, talking to each other, reflecting with each other, ourselves how we can learn from each other and improve on the things that we do. That really is the benefit of collective thought and collective commitment. Today, we are taking it one notch a little higher by saying we will not, as an African continent, be parochial and only talk to ourselves, but we are part and parcel of the global knowledge system. And that's why we are members of the Global Research Councils. Many of us are aware and are already members. Amos, you attended the GRC for the first time in Sao Paulo. I did not see a single street of Sao Paulo in the day, other than when I was going to the airport. But it's indicative of how useful the engagements were in Sao Paulo. The reason why we are having the session this morning is to prepare for Durban. We do these to prepare to make sure that we as a region are engaged with the issues that are pertinent in the global environment. We don't ever want to be parochial. We don't ever want to be perceived as a region of the world that just merely tags along. But we have to be part and parcel of the engagement of issues that shape the global science system. So this morning we have our colleague Michael Bright. One of these days, please look at him very carefully. One of these days he'll be called Sir Michael. He'll be a very powerful man in the United Kingdom, and so Professor Tambora, you'll be able to call on him and say, remember when we met in Dar es Salaam? But Michael is the head of the executive support group, which includes among ourselves here, Alet Ouattara and Aldo Strobel. And they will talk about the work that we have been doing as a GRC over the last period. What are the issues? And also for those that don't know the GRC, to introduce the GRC and to encourage you to be part and parcel of this global movement. We are, as you know, Amos, we are a virtual organization. You don't pay to attend. You just bring yourself and you bring your ideas. That's all that is that's important. And you get what you put in. Which then brings me to the next part. In preparation for Durban, we've got 2 papers. Every year, we think about what are the issues that we want to discuss as a collective of 80 plus heads of global research councils across the world. And this year, next year, we will be discussing 2 ideas. What is it called? Mission-orientated research. Okay, mission-orientated research. And we have somebody, yes, Sarah is going to lead that one. Sarah is from the UKRI, the United Kingdom's Research and Innovation, who is the partner to the National Research Foundation in Durban for the GRC meeting. UKRI also, its predecessor, RC UK, partnered with India when we were hosting the GRC in 2016. So they've been part of this initiative for a wee while. And so I hope that we have all read that paper, because the intention is for us as this grouping to reflect on the content of that paper, shape it, and make sure that when we all get to Durban next year, we are able to make constructive engagements with the rest of the world in terms of how the globe should be looking at this particular issue of mission-oriented research. Similarly, we have another paper which has been put together, and the lead discussion on that is Rasigan Maharaj, on public engagement. Should we, as funding agencies, be engaged with the business of public engagement? The answer is yes. How should we? Some of us have that as a mandate, statutory mandate. Some of us don't. Where I come from, we talk about the fact that we're in the business of advancing knowledge. We are in the business of transforming lives through that knowledge and the research that we undertake and the support that we give. And we're also in the business of inspiring a nation. You can't do that if you are not an engaged organization with society. And so the question then becomes, what is this business of engagement? It is also not merely about asking for more money, but it is about ensuring, particularly where we come from as a society on our continent, why on earth are you spending money on astronomy when people don't have clean water? Or should we be saying, no, this continent should never ever be engaged in research that breaks the boundaries of knowledge and only deal with knowledge that has immediate impact in the next week or 2 years. And if we so do, we might end up merely being chasers of other people's ideas, but not shapers of other people's and our own ideas. So these are the issues that I hope, colleagues, we will find time to reflect in terms of the papers that have been put on the table. It is an opportunity for us. We are smaller, and so I'm looking forward, Michael, for a very, and Chairperson, a healthy engagement and a vibrant engagement around those two topics. And then as we end later, there will be a few other more equally interesting issues that I don't want to take the thunder out of Alette and Michael, which are equally important in showing how we have been able to leverage on the power of both the SGCI and the GRC for the benefit of us as a continent. And Professor Sukey will say a few words from the floor in that regard, and many other colleagues will do the same. So, Chairperson, with those few remarks, thank you very much. I probably won't have the opportunity again to thank you hugely for the support that you have given, for the warm welcome that you have given us, and again, a big thank you to Tanzania and to COSTECH, and if you could pass on our best wishes to the Minister and the Chair of the Board. I thank you.
So let me now say, the opening session is over. So now I'm welcoming Mike, Sir Mike, to the podium. And like that, we're going back.
Wow, what an introduction. I think if Her Majesty gives me a knighthood, then I think an honorary peerage may be going to Aleppo's way. So I know his team endearingly call him Dr. Q, so Lord Q has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? So, I thought I'd start Habari by just giving a brief introduction to the Global Research Council, because I'm aware that some of you will be familiar, some of you probably heard me give this presentation before, so I do apologise. Some people may have heard it 3 or 4 times in the last few months, like Marcus and Aldo, but it's just to give you an overview, and I will be brief because Aleppo has kindly given some of it already, so that's great. So let me just find it. There, great. So the Global Council was established following a Global Summit of Merit Review organised by the US National Science Foundation back in 2012. It was then very much the initiative of the NSF Director, Dr. Subra Suresh, who remarked that global scientific collaboration expands the pool of knowledge that belongs to everyone and serves as a tool to improve health, security and opportunity throughout the world. The motivation in establishing the GRC was to provide a forum by which funding agencies could come together in order to facilitate greater international research collaboration, which is needed in order to address many of the global challenges we face, recognising and building on bilateral relationships which already exist between funding agencies. So as Aleppo said, the GRC is a virtual organisation made up of the heads of research councils from all around the world. This means it's not a legal entity and has no formal office, membership or fees. Participants normally meet their own costs for attendance and engagement in GRC activities. Participants are mainly the main publicly funded research or funding organisation in countries. And the organisation was set up with the goals of improving communication and cooperation between funding agencies, to identify best practice and agree on common principles, and to support the establishment of world-class funding organisations. So as Aleppo said, the aspirations of the GRC dovetail very nicely with the Science Granting Council's initiative. It therefore provides a forum for the heads of research organisations to come together to discuss issues and address issues of common concern, but it also builds trust between funding organisations and with a view to fostering multilateral research cooperation. Global research is focused around its annual meetings, which normally take place each May. The picture on the slide is the last meeting where we met in Sao Paulo, and it does bring together the heads of National Research Council and research organisations. At those meetings, they generally endorse and adopt a statement of principles or standards which are developed throughout the year with input obtained through these regional meetings. At those meetings, they also endorse any recommendations for follow-up activities or actions. So far, there have been 8 annual meetings. The first was that Global Review in 2012. And each meeting since then has focused on a couple of topics. So we have met in Tokyo, and we have met in New Delhi, and we met in Ottawa. Sorry, the PowerPoint stopped. More recently, we met in Moscow, Sao Paulo, and the next meeting is in Durban. So, prior to each annual meeting, there is a series of regional meetings. And these are meetings, expert-level meetings, to discuss the topics of mutual interest and issues of regional priority. As Malepo said, they also provide the forums through which input for the meetings are prepared. So we really do rely on the regional meetings to have a good discussion of the topics and provide that input. They also allow for wider engagement, so they're open to other interested parties rather than just the research funding organisations. So we really use these as an opportunity to engage a broader range of organisations and obtain a broader range of advice. So we're currently in the cycle of regional meetings. This is the 4th regional meeting, and we have one more to go. So after being here in sunny Dar es Salaam, we're off to cold and snowy Oslo. So this is a consultative process that we go through. So the annual meeting, the previous annual meeting, the governing board decides the topics. The co-hosts for the annual meeting prepare the discussion papers, which you have all been sent, hopefully in advance. And then we have these regional meetings in October to December. Once we've had the inputs from the various regional meetings, between January and April, we work to synthesize the outputs from those meetings and prepare the inputs to the next annual meeting. That whole process is overseen by what is called the International Steering Committee. That basically brings together members of the executive support group, but also the hosts and co-hosts for the regional meetings. The GRC governance structure oversees obviously all this process, and it has an international governing board which is made up of regional representatives at the heads of research council. The current chair is Professor Carlos Enrique Britti Cruz from FAPES. Day-to-day, the activities, as mentioned, is overseen by the Executive Secretary, who's provided by one of the participant organisations. I must say, ably supported by my colleagues and friends on the Executive Support Group. But the GRC is more than just a talking shop, as it were. It has established a number of working groups to take forward actions coming out of the different annual meetings. And we'll hear about these today, and we had a good discussion on the gender working group, activities of the gender working group, yesterday afternoon. So the journey to Durban started in Sao Paulo, as I mentioned, where the governing board approved and announced the co-hosts, which is the South African NRF and ourselves, UK Research Innovation, and agreed the 2 topics which you're asked to discuss this morning, public engagement and oriented research. At its governing board meeting in Sao Paulo, the governing board also asked to start a strategic dialogue with participants to sort of start thinking about the vision for the next decade, and I'll say a little bit more about that this afternoon. So what are the expectations of the meeting? Well, we read thoughts and inputs on the discussion topics, but especially your help in thinking about how we might take them forward and suggest to the annual meeting some practical output. What in reality, as a group of research funding organisation, performing organisation, can we do? What's our role into these topics, and how does that relate to other organisations? We're also interested in hearing examples, what you sharing practice. But I've put there expectations and reality. You know, we want to be ambitious, but we also want to think about how we can be practical and what we can be realistic to achieve. In particular, the GRC, given it's a virtual organisation and has no resources as such, but relies on the goodwill of its participant organisations. While I've got your team as well, I would just like to make a couple of other points. So we now have live the call for the 2020 regional meetings hosts. So if you'd like to host the next Africa regional meeting, the call is open, and that closes on the 17th of January. And also we're consulting a participant organisation on the topics for 2021. So if you've got a great idea for a topic, we ask you to complete a simple one-page pro forma to put that forward as a topic, and the programme committee will consider that and advise the board. I won't go through this slide. Some of you have camera phones if you want to take a picture, but we'll circulate the slides. So this is just the criteria and the information in terms of what we would like if you are interested in applying for to be the regional host, but it is available on the website, and equally for the call for topics. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have some good discussions.
Good morning, everyone. And I take myself covered by Molapo with respect to language gymnastics. Thank you so much. Yes, I was hiding because of my inability with respect, or my challenges with respect to language. We are now at the beginning of a very important session to discuss strategies, policies, practices, and innovative support aspects in support of mission-oriented research in each public funding agency. I was looking at the time and the number of agencies to speak after the presentation, which should have started about 10 minutes ago. So we are very challenged for time, both for the presenter and those to speak after the presentation. And so now language gymnastics with respect to speed is required. The pleasure is mine at this juncture to be calling upon Sarah Plowman to present the background paper. Sarah, please.
Thank you, Susan. And good morning as well. Oh. It wants some sort of sign in? How do I come out? No. It's in the folder. Yep. Okay, so thank you very much, and I want to give you a brief summary of the discussion paper on mission-orientated research. So some context. Why are we discussing this now? Our societies face, and our globe faces, some big problems. So we need some big answers to address those problems. We are facing challenges about how to deal with demographic shifts in our populations, how to tackle global health outbreaks, how to feed our increasing populations, and how to create clean energy that we can get into our vehicles so that we can stay mobile. At the same time, there have been a number of technological advancements such as robotics, precision medicine, and AI. And these can help us to address those challenges, but they bring challenges of their own, such as what will be the impact of these technologies on jobs, particularly for our young people in developing countries. And they also mean that we need to consider the impacts of these and how can we manage them through ethics or regulatory processes. So, as I said, these big challenges require big answers. So we live in an increasingly... why is this not moving on? Sorry, I thought I was moving slides on. So our world is increasingly interconnected. That one? Okay. Our world is increasingly interconnected, and these challenges do not respect boundaries, and they require us to work across disciplines and across borders in order for us to be able to address them. So we need big solutions to these big challenges. And one approach that has been put forward is using mission-orientated research, because this has been proposed as a way of addressing grand challenges. It is a way of delivering impact by focusing on solutions, and it is a way of helping us to communicate to our stakeholders and the public at large about the challenges we face and the role that research and innovation can play. It would provide a framework around which to coalesce stakeholders, such as researchers, innovators, policymakers, and practitioners, so that they can tackle this problem together. Importantly, missions should be jointly identified and co-designed and co-produced with relevant stakeholders so that needs are addressed. They have the potential to lead to transformative impact and to accelerate progress. So one of the key proponents of mission-orientated research is Professor Mariana Mazzucato, who is a special advisor to the European Commission's Commission of Science, Research and Technology. And she proposes that that missions should be broad enough to engage the public and attract cross-sectoral investment. And so she, in her paper, put forward the Apollo space missions as an example of how inspirational mission-orientated research can be in bringing together different stakeholders to address a time-limited challenge. She says that missions need to remain focused enough to involve industry and achieve measurable success. Importantly, by setting directions for a solution, missions does not specify achieve success. Rather, they stimulate the development of a range of different solutions to achieve the objectives. So, mission-orientated approaches are not a new idea, and there are a number of agencies around the globe that are using mission-orientated approaches. So, for example, the Global Challenge Research Fund in the UK is a £1.5 billion research fund that is aiming to address the development challenges of developing countries through supporting challenge-led, solution-focused disciplinary and interdisciplinary research. The South African Department for Science and Technology and National Research Foundation have funded a number of centres of excellence, such as its Centres of Excellence in Strong Materials. Such investments are committed to developing novel ideas that focus on critical matters facing South Africa today. Similarly, the National Science Foundation aims to build a foundation to spur bold interdisciplinary questions that will frame its long-term research priorities through its 10 Big Ideas initiative. This includes mapping changes in the Arctic, understanding human genetic code, amongst other such ideas. And these will push forward the frontiers of research and provide innovative solutions to global grand challenges. Another way of framing challenges that is in the paper are the SDGs. And this is truly a global framework because 193 countries have signed up to addressing the SDGs. But we know that at the present rate of progress, no one country will actually achieve the SDGs. So we need to accelerate progress. And in the recent UN Sustainable Development Summit in September, the role of science, research, and innovation was clearly articulated as being important in accelerating this progress, as was the importance of international collaboration on this and many other topics. So in her paper, Professor Mazzucato put forward that the Sustainable Development Goals were indeed grand challenges that could be addressed through mission-orientated research. And this is symptomatic of how she sees this working. So you would have your Sustainable Development Goals, and then underneath you would have a number of specific, clearly targeted, time-limited missions that would help to address those grand challenges, and underneath each mission you would have a portfolio of projects or programs that were identified that would address that particular mission. So if we put a little bit more flesh on the bones and put an example in here, again from Professor Mazzucato's paper, she identified a number of examples, and this one is about citizen health. So the important thing about a mission is it's specific, it's targeted, and it's time limited. So here she's suggesting a mission could be to decrease the global burden of dementia by 50% by 2030. This is quite an ambitious and aspirational mission, but this is the key. This would inspire populations and decision makers and stakeholders to coalesce around this mission. You would need to bring in a large number of different sectors, such as the tech sector, consumer goods, the social sector, and you would support a number of projects, of programs underneath that, such as personalized medicine, thinking about how how we could improve the identification or prediction of those that might get neurodegenerative diseases, and also perhaps the role of AI in supporting and caring for those people that do have neurodegenerative diseases. So, of course, with all things, there's always challenges. So for mission-orientated research, the fact that necessary partnerships do not always exist, and if they do, they can be short-lived and not sustainable because of lack of resources such as time or money. A good example of a partnership is Belmont Forum, and some of us in the room are part of that, but it's the exception rather than the rule. And there are particular challenges for low and middle income countries taking part in these types of partnerships in terms of capacity and resource to engage. There are other challenges as well, of course, tensioning the balance between research excellence and potential economic and societal impact, and also the fact that we all recognize our agencies, our ministries, and our governments will have different priorities and different missions, and how can we reconcile those with this approach? And also, what is the role of that basic underpinning research that many of us fund? So what could be the role of GRC, and why are we having this discussion? Well, I would propose that GRC is ideally placed to foster a common understanding and approach towards mission-orientated research, because this organisation, this virtual organisation, brings together 80 research councils from across the globe. And these research councils have collective experience of supporting international collaboration, supporting partnerships that cross boundaries, cross disciplines and cross sectors. We know how to do innovative, collaborative research, and this is a potential for us to do it at scale. GRC has a long history, or 10 years of responding to opportunities and addressing issues of common concerns and priorities. And the GRC, as a collective voice under that banner, has the potential to ensure strategic alignment of participants, but also, really importantly, to leverage and influence the decision makers in our countries as to the importance of taking these large approaches to address these global challenges. So we've proposed a number of discussion questions. The first two are really about current experiences and current understandings of mission-oriented research, who has experience of doing it, and the other questions are much more forward-focusing. What might this future activities look like? Before I hand over for the facilitated discussion, I want to say in your packs you will have received a pro forma which is asking questions about your experience of mission-orientated research and what types of programs you would fund in this area, so we can gather those together to create case studies. And your comments and feedback here, as Mike said, will feed into all of the other comments that we've collected through the regional meetings, and they will feed through into Durban in May, and we will put those case studies together as part of that meeting. So that's all I have to say. So thank you very much, and I will hand over again. Shall I leave the questions up?
Thank you, Ketwe. The program does not provide for questions or clarifications. I normally do not carry a lot of paper, but for this one, I find the topic very challenging, so I require many aids. Sarah talked about some guiding areas to think around, like issues of population, health, clean energy, technology advances. She said there are elements of big science to address big problems within the context of mission orientation. She talked about funding programs and funders, and gave the SDGs as a framework to address the challenges to be tackled through mission-oriented research. Then she concluded by enunciating the role of the GRC, for which we are here as a collective to have, among other things, common understanding, collaborations, and influence. I have tried to summarize the major highlights, and perhaps let me go to the next item on the program, which is discussion by the African councils or related bodies here present to speak to the questions is outlined in Sarah's presentation. And I think the countries have been listed in alphabetical order. So we can start with Botswana. According to my watch, you have a little over a minute and a half each. So Botswana, please.
Much, Madam Chair. Perhaps let me start by thanking Sarah for that elaborate presentation. Our understanding of mission-oriented research, as the presenter has elaborated, is quite something that is very appreciated, and my understanding is that as we need to start by appreciating and having an elaborate understanding of our national priorities, and make sure that there is alignment with regional, continental, and global strategies, being at continental level, this TISA 2024, African Agenda 2063, and global level SDGs, UN Agenda 2030. So perhaps maybe taking it back home a little bit, that are bedeviling the country, issues of unemployment, particularly among the youth. There are issues of energy, electricity, water scarcity in our communities, and issues of climate change, which are basically broader issues in Africa and even at a global level. So it's very important that when we are thinking of mission-oriented research, we primarily look at those issues that are affecting our communities. So basically, we are in support of these initiatives, and we've been involved with few of such. But yes, unfortunately, because of issues surrounding our inadequate funding and lack of robust structures in terms of funding research, we have been in mission-oriented research initiatives, which are primarily funded from outside in the areas of energy, like I've said, and in the areas of climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Botswana. Burkina Faso.
Ready? Bonjour. Bien, merci Suzanne et merci aux communicateurs en introduction ce matin sur ces deux sujets vraiment très très intéressants, mais surtout bien à propos pour la prochaine échéance du DRC. Alors, comme contribution, moi j'allais dire recherche orientée vers les missions, vers les grands objectifs du pays. Je crois qu'il n'y a pas meilleure justification de notre existence même. Au niveau du Burkina, comme on dit, quand les ressources deviennent insuffisantes, sinon inexistantes, il faut être malin pour la réflexion, regarder quels sont les principaux problèmes et chercher à les tacler par ordre de priorité. Si le point de caricature, chez nous, on donne le schéma, l'âne, c'est comme on appelle l'âne en anglais, donkey. Il est là, il a faim, il a soif. Il y a de l'eau à droite, il y a l'herbe à gauche. Il veut aller vers les deux en même temps parce qu'il a les deux problèmes. Et toute la il essaie d'aller à droite. Après, il dit non, je vais aller à gauche. Jusqu'au soir, il n'a ni bu. Et finalement, il meurt de faim. Donc, c'est une caricature pour dire que c'est vrai que nous puissions au niveau d'un pays et que la puisse orienter vers les prioritaires de de résoudre ces solutions-là. Donc, pour nous, ça va vraiment de soi. C'est pratiquement une obligation de consacrer les ressources financières que nos États ont à les missions prioritaires qui comptent au bien-être de la communauté. Donc, je n'en dirai pas plus, mais en tout cas, sachez que nous sommes partie prenante. Maintenant, la question, c'est de savoir comment faire pour identifier les vrais problèmes. Parce que la tendance de certaines structures de recherche, c'est de faire de la recherche pour la recherche pure. C'est vrai, il faut la faire, mais dans le contexte de nos pays, il faut qu'une bonne partie des ressources puisse être consacrée à court, moyen terme aux problèmes que la population vit. Voilà un peu ce que je peux apporter comme contribution. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Burkina Faso. May I remind ourselves that we have each about 1.5 minutes. Côte d'Ivoire.
Ok, merci à vous, Suzanne. Je pense que nous nous alignons déjà sur les réflexions portées par le docteur Tamboura du Burkina Faso. Étant déjà des pays frontaliers, nous avons quasiment les mêmes objectifs et les mêmes fondamentaux. Donc moi, ce que je pourrais ajouter, comme il a dit, c'est de savoir si et comment identifier ces problèmes. Est-ce que nous devons nous aligner à nos différents programmes nationaux de développement qui cadrent avec la vision du gouvernement? Est-ce que nous devons d'abord implémenter des enquêtes de terrain pour voir ce qui est prioritaire pour les populations? Je pense que c'est vraiment un défi pour nos pays de déjà financer des projets. Je prends l'exemple du PASSRES. On a l'habitude de financer tout type de projets, comme l'a dit le docteur Tamboura. Mais il est arrivé un moment où on était confronté à une crise alimentaire. En ce moment, nous avons décidé, par exemple, de lancer un appel spécial pour pouvoir répondre à ce problème parce qu'il arrivait où de certaines régions, en Côte d'Ivoire, on n'arrivait plus à s'alimenter. Il y avait cette forte pénurie. Nous avons lancé pour pouvoir mobiliser des mécanismes pour pouvoir conserver ces aliments. Je pense que si on arrive véritablement à détecter nos différents problèmes au niveau des régions, il serait vraiment possible pour nous d'impulser un certain niveau de développement. Merci.
Thank you very much, Côte d'Ivoire, and for being brief. Ethiopia. Okay. Ghana.
I think mission-oriented research involves international and inter-institutional collaboration. That means that as a participant, we need to have the setup, the organization, and resources that will enable us to engage in such collaboration. Does Ghana have interest in participating in multilateral collaboration between GRC participants? And the answer is clearly yes. We believe that the SDGs is an appropriate area to start such collaboration. As to approach, I think it will be important for participating countries to be assigned specific SDGs for them to focus on and prepare themselves. If such a project or mission comes up and we have to start moving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghana. Guinea.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to do this remark. To take global great challenges, efficient research system is required. And the question may arise, is the most research systems in sub-Saharan African countries enough operative? In other words, I would like to propose that in the coming sessions, the GRC organizes, I think, commission to make effective, to make efficient, or to improve the research capacities before tackling great challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guinea. Kenya?
Okay, thank you. It is clear, even from Kenyan perspective, this mission-oriented research provide a mechanism for specific and very focused on issues as opposed to academic research. And in this context, we are taking it to be a very specific in nature and multidisciplinary in nature. And want to take in the context of our limited resources, this provide an opportunity for collaboration, because of course our challenges and our issues are almost similar. So this is an opportunity to provide opportunity for regional cooperation, and even in our context in this region. And of course, SDGs provide a very clear entry point, because most of our national priorities have cascaded these things and these issues. So they are integrated with a clear focus for national priorities that are in line with SDGs. So for Kenyan perspective, this is an opportunity that we can be able to leverage on the existing resources. Thank you.
Malawi? No? Mozambique?
Good morning. For Mozambique, it is in it's important to recognize that we have been facilitated on that because our government have defined the priority areas for us for focus, which has been identified as agriculture, tourism, infrastructure, energy and mineral resources, and now have come up on board the climate change. So in terms of identifying the areas, it's been quite easy for us to know where we can focus our oriented mission on research. So in order to attend the Agenda 2016, looking at peace, renewed economy, growth, social, and also STISA, science and technology, those are priorities that we are also taking in consideration, including the SDGs driven goals. In terms of the questions that are rolled here, we have to say that we have already started collaborating with GRC members. We have a trilateral call with Zambia and Germany. We can also say we have a trilateral call with also South Africa, Zambia, and Mozambique, trying to reduce the negative impact of the problems that are facing in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mozambique. Namibia. Nigeria.
Madam, for Namibia, the research priorities are set out, research and development priorities are set out in a national document which we call the National Research Program. And in this program, it guides us on our collaborations with national, regional and international partners in terms of mission or oriented research, as well as looking at solutions for specific issues and challenges in our societies. But it also provides us guidance on how to collaborate with other partners internationally and nationally. And it's aligned to our national development plans as well as regional and international strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Namibia. Nigeria.
Thank you very much from Nigeria. Well, there's no doubt that, there are a number of areas that Nigeria will surely benefit in participating in mission-oriented research. And I think what has really helped is the fact that government has come to appreciate the fact that when you look at the MDGs, that the nation did not perform well in most of the indicators of performance measurement. And it's now realized that, and the reason for that may not be far-fetched, that the neglect of the academia or research, universities-based research to help evidence-based policies and also implementation. But in the SDGs, I think government now is more serious, and there's no doubt that also coming from academia, that we are coming up with research that we can say mission-oriented. Well, you can say mission-oriented, but I must say that from the point of view of what is going on, I think the concept of centers of excellence in addressing key issues under SDGs seem to be there. But I look at the way it's conceived, the centers of excellence, is also more or less in the line of mission, oriented in terms of the adoption of the concept of multidisciplinary research, different actors, coming in. So and there's no doubt that we gain also, especially in the area of health. Government now, they could see the concept of center of excellence really helping when there was the outbreak of Ebola. One thing that helped the nation to quickly put it, under wrap was the existence before then of a center of excellence for genomics of infectious diseases, which was sponsored by, World Bank. thank God that the researchers in that center had already developed the concept, to be able to tackle, that disease. And that sent the message that the need for that type of level of, research capacity, in addressing the issue. So I'm sure that from the side of Nigeria, especially in the area of the SDGs, mission-oriented research will be very, very much, welcome.
Thank you, Nigeria. Rwanda. Senegal.
Merci Suzanne. Donc pour le Sénégal, la recherche ou les missions ou projets concernant la recherche sont collés ou sont arrimés au plan Sénégal émergent. Donc c'est le document national de référence avec 3 domaines, notamment sur le capital humain, le développement économique et la gouvernance. Et donc, en tout cas, tout projet de recherche qui doit être financé par les fonds publics doit traiter de ces questions, notamment sur l'éducation, la santé, la nutrition. Pour le développement économique, c'est axé sur l'agriculture avec ses 3 composants, l'élevage, la pêche et l'agriculture. Et donc, actuellement, comme on a la découverte de pétrole et de gaz, donc il y a un focus sur les énergies et toutes les dérivés. Donc ça, en tout cas, tous les projets financés avec les fonds publics sont financés dans ces domaines-là. Mais ce qu'il y a, la réalité au Sénégal, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de recherches individuelles menées par des équipes de chercheurs qui ont une renommée internationale au niveau des universités, qui lèvent beaucoup de fonds, aussi au niveau des institutions de recherche qui ne sont pas universitaires, surtout dans le domaine de l'agriculture et de l'alimentation, qui ont d'autres sources de financement et qui peuvent, selon leurs objectifs, mener d'autres recherches dans d'autres domaines non priorisés par le gouvernement du Sénégal. Donc, en gros, c'est ce que je voulais dire pour le moment. Merci.
Thank you, Senegal. Sierra Leone.
Good morning. Mission and research is very necessary to take the situation of Sierra Leone. This year we have 4 flagship areas in education, agriculture, tourism, and health. And those areas are very important for economic development of the country. And so we need mission-oriented research in this area, so actually have the desired goals that have been set by the government. And one question that I really want to agree with is their interest for multilateral collaboration. Of course, and we have seen an example when we had the Ebola problem 5 years ago. It was through international and multilateral collaboration that we were able to go through that problem. And so we need that collaboration at least to augment our limited resources and even for exchange of expertise. So that is very important.
Thank you, Sierra Leone. South Africa.
In 90 seconds, Chair, you are asking us whether we have read the paper. Very briefly, to say that we subscribe, Chair, to the way in which mission-oriented research is articulated in the paper, in that it does provide an approach to be used to inject urgency. And here I want to inject a little slight difference, urgency into dealing with wicked problems, complex problems. Those problems could be of societal in nature, or they could be complex knowledge problems that we have yet to crack as a knowledge system on this globe. Understanding some of the basic aspects of how nature operates. These are wicked, complex problems that you can then put forward in the way in which you use mission-oriented research. And therefore, we need to go beyond the SDGs. And it can only be, we can't merely circumscribe mission-oriented research to the SDGs. The biggest challenge that we're going to face is working together. Intergovernmental, interagency, interinstitutional, and something that we sometimes forget, which is interdiscipline. Bringing the different disciplines on the table, including between the public and the private sector. And so, Chair, an example of some of the wicked knowledge problems that we still have yet to understand in nature is a simple one. What is dark matter? But I'm sure Zimbabwe will be able to answer that.
I was paying serious attention, so I lost track there. Tanzania?
Madam Chair, it is always difficult to speak last, almost in the end, because everybody has almost touched everything. But we subscribe to the idea that mission-oriented in nature should be, a global issue and multilateral if need be. But coming back to the first 2 points, locally we are doing not much as mission-oriented, but we call them commissioned research. Yeah, and sometimes, all of them, they are going to solve societal challenges, and sometimes it is a quick intervention, but they don't follow the normal routes. Yeah, but as the agency, we are supposed to kind of make an intervention, get the result out. I take a quick example. Last year we had the invasion of the fall army worm. I think it was even in Malawi, Zambia, it was a chaos. But for the commission, it was, how can we empower the people? How can we find the solution? So this was a commissioned research, and it was kind of, as Molapo said, it should be, interdisciplinary. On one side, it is a technical issue to find a solution, but on that side, the social side, how the farmers can be, you say, psychologically be assisted, either to change their behavior or the like. So we are doing it, and yes, SDG could cover the whole range, but basically each country has their own research priorities. So as much as SDG is broad, is global, the challenge will be, if the country has to participate in that mission, and their meager resources are kind of limited, then is it in the priority order when you order them? Otherwise we subscribe.
Thank you very much, Tanzania. Uganda.
Thank you very much, Susan. For Uganda, I think we also do agree with the submissions that have been made from the other ACGC countries. And we also do take mission-oriented research to actually mean purpose-driven. And here the purpose being addressing societal challenges, and as well as also venturing into creating new knowledge, as South Africa has indicated. There's a number of other knowledge avenues that perhaps we have not explored. So our purpose could be to explore that unfound or undiscovered applications. So for Uganda, we are ready to work with others within the context of the sustainable development goals, because we do realize that there are certain challenges that these goals are really setting out to address. We also are looking at using the same approach to address our national priorities. And I think for us, our priority in a broad sense has been to become a middle-income country by in the next few years. So that's what is driving our national development agenda. We do believe that to achieve that, we will not need to work as just a single country, but we will want to leverage on the knowledge resources across the globe. And this gives us an opportunity to be able to partner with others in solving that national problem, as well as the societal challenge that we face in climate, in energy, and other areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uganda. Zambia.
Thank you, Chairperson. When your surname starts with an S and your country starts with a Z, you're going to speak last. And half the time, there are advantages and disadvantages to that. The advantage is that I'll save you a lot of time, because I think most of what my colleagues have said pertains to Zambia, and we are doing some of those things. Suffice to add that when I look at the example given in the paper, it suspiciously looks like what we are doing in the country, what we are calling output-based budgeting or planning. And I must report that for the council and the country, we have been the pioneers for the past 3-4 years. Other ministries are yet to adopt this type of planning. As such, our mindset is already being attuned towards mission-oriented research and programming. So for Zambia, we are good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Zambia. I suppose our names rhyme. From Zambia, you go to Zimbabwe. We read the paper, and it was largely talking to the very converted. We are doing many things right, I believe. And even when South Africa talked about dark energy, my reaction was, oh yeah, we relate to that too. But, but as you know, Zimbabwe is in a very strong re-engagement mode. You might have heard the countries collaborating and excluding Zimbabwe. We realize that. We notice that SADC has got an engagement of assisting Zimbabwe with the re-engagement mode. At the country level, we also believe very strongly that we must fund research we must invest the new languages, we must invest in research out of painful dollars, not change. So we are in that mode as we are seeking to engage in a practical way with mission-oriented research. We also have, from the Research Council perspective, a strong drive to move directed by consensus. We also respect to a certain level, the freedom of the intellect. Those are some of our guiding principles as we are engaging with mission-oriented research within the SDGs framework and beyond. And Zimbabwe is seeking to make its contribution to global knowledge. Who knows, the next biggest invention may be residing within a Zimbabwean as we speak. Contribution of Zimbabwe, back to being chair. And I have 2 minutes. May you kindly react to some of the contributions, please?
Thank you very much for those contributions. I think it's great to hear that there's already so much going on in the sub-Saharan African context in this space, and I think everything that you've said about trying to align to country priorities and priorities within your agencies is very relevant, and it is very challenging. But I think there is. It seems like there's appetite to try to do something together. So I think that's very encouraging, and we will take this forward over the next few months and engage further on this going forward. So thank you very much.
Aldo?
Susan, thank you. Colleagues, I just wanted to make a small comment with the advantage of having participated in the previous rounds of our current set of regional consultations on the two topics. If I might say from an ESG perspective, but indeed from an NRF perspective, we're really delighted with the take that this region has on this topic. It is probably one of the more complex ones. We have seen from many of the previous regions that they simply regard their list of research priorities as the missions. But indeed, you have shown that alignment with national agendas, with cross-border regional engagements to really address complex multidisciplinary aspects, of course still very much aligned to national priorities because it's public funding that is being used. That is the change or the differentiation from a very strategic perspective that is being picked up from these discussions. And I'm very pleased to see Professor Maharaj nodding because he's also had the advantage of participating in all the regional aspects, although he focuses on the public engagement paper. So thank you for that. I think one of the best examples of really showing the alignment with regional national priorities came from Namibia in your respective responses of today. So Susan, thank you for your able facilitation of this, and we just wanted to provide context that of course this is not an isolated discussion. We are very much aware of what eventually must be presented to the Global Research Council, very much informed by the differentiation from each of the regions.
So I like Aldo very much. Particularly now, he made my life very simple. Thank you.
to invite you to a short break, which starts now. If we can also kindly request that we go outside immediately for the photo formalities. It is at the same place as it was on Monday, so you can simply exit and turn left. Our break then will continue, and if you don't mind, let's reconvene promptly at 10:30. Thank you very much.